Today what we're going to talk about is the minimum effective dose workout. And for each of you, this is going to be the minimum effective dose of working out, the minimum amount of working out that you could do to get the specific results you're looking for. So today I split this into 3 tiers. Tier 1, the health keeper. This is going to be the individual who just wants to maintain the muscle they have. They want to live a long, healthy life, and they really don't love the gym. They just want to do the minimum amount they can. Tier 2 is going to be the growth seeker. This is the person who does want to build muscle. They want to get into the gym. They might not want to spend their entire life in the gym, but they do want to see growth. They do want to see improvement, strength, more tissue on their body by the end of the year. And Tier 3, the bodybuilder. This is the person who wants max output muscle gain every second of every single day. So as we jump into Tier 1, the health keeper, this really is going to be something where you only need to hit 1 to 2 full body workouts a week. The reason we're doing full body workout, this is where you're going to work your lower body, your upper body, your core, everything within a single day. It's just because if you set your program up right, you can kind of hit every single muscle in your body with just enough volume that you can maintain that tissue. This is not going to be a range of training where you're going to see exponential growth. You might still get muscle growth, but it is going to be limited. And even on the side of the spectrum where we get 1 workout in a week, the science is really clear that just 1 full body workout a week can be enough to maintain tissue. So if you want to avoid sarcopenia, the muscle loss as you age, which is severely going to lower your life expectancy, just get that 1 workout in every single week. And if you want to take it up to that next level, get 2 in. Full body training is really just going to be your best bet here. You could do an upper lower, but stick to full body workouts and you'll get the best results. When we get to Tier 2, the growth seeker, this is going to be the individual who might not be in love with the gym. They don't want to spend every second of their life at the gym, but they do want to see results. Maybe you're trying to get that tissue back you used to have. Maybe you just want to build muscle so you can look a little better for this upcoming year. This is where you're really going to focus on 3 to 4 workouts a week. An upper lower workout split is going to do the best. So an upper lower split is where one day you work your upper body and one day you work your lower body. So if you have 3 days to give, if you're a guy, the best bet is to focus on 2 uppers and 1 lower. And if you're a female, focus on 2 lowers and 1 upper. This is usually where we see them grow the muscle in the places that they desire it the most. And if you have 4 days, just doing 2 and 2. One of the reasons that we like to split into upper lower in a situation like this is just because it's going to make it so we can hit those individual muscles a little bit more and with a little bit more volume through the week. The likelihood that you're able to hit your chest twice, your legs twice, and all the muscles we need to is going to be much more effective in this range. And with doing 3 to 4 lifts a week, there's still lots of times to rest, recover, and just honestly not spend your whole life in the gym. As we look at Tier 3, the bodybuilder, these are going to be people who are looking for maximum output muscle gain. These are the guys and gals who want to put on the most amount of muscle every second of every day, all the time. And if you're in this class, you're going to want to be working out 5 to 6 days a week, and these are going to want to be body part bias workouts. So what does that mean? It means you might have chest focused days. You might have shoulder focused days. You might have quad or anterior focus days. You might have back days. And when we really split this up in the most intelligent way, for the average person, doing a push-pull leg split is your best idea. A push-pull leg split is where one day you do your push muscles. This would be your chest, your shoulders, your triceps. On one day you do your pull muscles. This would be your back, your traps, your low back, and your biceps. And on the 3rd day you do your legs. If you set this up properly, we really can set you up to build the maximum muscle possible. And you might look at this and say, okay, I want to build the most muscle possible. I should do 6 days. But the truth is that if I had to give an honest answer, 5 days is probably the perfect answer for building the maximum output muscle growth. And that's because we grow the most muscle on the days where we rest. That's why we don't call them rest days. We call them growth days. So if you could do a Monday through Wednesday push-pull legs, and then you could get those extra 2 days in on Friday and Saturday, that would give you 2 really nice rest days split through the week. So this is how I would tier people into deciding how much training they need to get even that minimum effective dose that they really are looking for. As we look at some of the extras, if we're talking about volume, MAV, and MRV, if we're talking about the health keeper, really just focusing on volume is going to be your best bet. My best advice for someone who's in this category, because you're probably someone who doesn't have as much knowledge, is focusing on doing something between the range of 10 to 15 reps on your workouts and trying to do somewhere between 3 to 4 sets of each one of those workouts. It's not going to be guaranteed perfect, but for most people, there's going to be a safe place to make sure you get enough volume in. When you get into Growth Seeker, we do need need to get a little bit higher quality on how we're going into and planning these workouts, MEV stands for minimum effective volume. So this is the minimum amount you need to do to grow anything. And MRV is maximum recoverable volume. So that's the most amount of training your body can handle in a week before you stop growing any extra tissue. We want to land somewhere in the middle. And for growth seeker and for the bodybuilder, ideally we want to kind of be in the same range, which is going to be somewhere between 40 and 60 sets a week. And this is not going to be every set you do in the gym. These are the actual working sets. So this does not include warm-ups. This does not count lighter weight sets where you're working up to something. This is purely the working sets. If you're in the growth seeker category, doing somewhere close to that 45 sets a week is going to be more ideal to fit into that schedule. On the bodybuilder side of the spectrum, it's likely you can handle up to that 60 sets a week. So make sure that if you really want to grow muscle as fast as possible, you are taking the time to calculate out your volume and trying to make sure you're hitting 60 working sets a week. When we talk about nutrition basics for each category, the health keeper really just needs to focus on protein. It's the honest truth. For the health keeper, hitting at least 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass is really going to be the sweet spot for you. And what does that even mean? So lean body mass is how much your body weighs if we remove all the fat off of your body. So for someone who's 200 pounds, you might only have somewhere around 130 to 150 pounds of lean body mass. So for a 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass, you might only need to be eating somewhere between 100 and 120 grams of protein a day. This will be enough to maintain tissue. This will also be enough that if you train hard enough on these days, you might see some growth. When you get into the growth seeker category, this is the average everyday gym goer, we really want to do that classic 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, because that's really what the science is showing is the perfect number for growing the most amount of tissue. But when we get to the bodybuilder, we really just want to cover our butt a little bit more, and we want to make sure we're hitting that maximum output muscle gain all the time. So for the bodybuilder, new science is coming out every single day, and some of the new literature is showing that taking that up to 1.3 grams per pound of lean body mass is showing upwards of 30 or 40% more tissue gain. So if you really want to make maximum output muscle growth, taking that up to a 1.3 gram per pound of lean body mass will be the best thing for the bodybuilder. Obviously, as we get into the growth seeker and the bodybuilder, making sure your carbohydrate, fat intake, and all the other nutritional basics are hit is still super important, but protein is obviously going to be your best friend. When we talk about a home workout versus a gym workout, if you are in the health keeper category, I still recommend the gym for every one of these categories. There's no question that you will have an easier time. You'll be able to be more effective in your training if you have a lot of equipment. And the nice thing about it too is that when you have a lot of really nice machines, some of the more complicated and difficult movements to do with free weights at home or with the limited equipment you have can be super easy to just sit down and go to town on. At the same time, if you're someone who is really trying to avoid the gym, trying to avoid a lot of training, you can get some great home workouts in if you're in this category. But if you're going to move down into any of the categories, really focus on maximizing muscle growth, make sure you get into a gym. It's just the best thing. And as far as recovery goes, because when we're talking about muscle, recovery is one of the main subjects to talk about. For all of these, just making sure we're getting that minimum 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. If we're on the bodybuilder side of the spectrum, obviously maybe pushing up to the farther end of that. And outside of that is just making sure that we are fitting time in here for stretching. We are fitting time in here for making sure that we're putting the right nutrition and all the right recovery amenities into our body. And if you can hit these right things for your category, you'll maximize the amount of muscle you can gain day to day.